So OTB Sports is back with another series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in Premier League and Irish football history. We'll have behind-the-scenes access. We'll be chatting to some of the legendary names from the biggest clubs and meet the crucial people behind the scenes who make a Premier League club what it is. It's all in association with Cadbury FC and their club partnerships. You can also check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. Cadbury, official snack partner of Chelsea Football Club. So to talk about the new Premier League season and Chelsea in particular, I'm joined by two of their former players, two Chelsea legends. Matteo Carney and Roberto Di Matteo are with us. How are we keeping?
Good afternoon. All good, thank you. Very well.
Good. Roberto, Chelsea come into this season as the European champions and with huge expectations. So many people feel that they are the favourites for this Premier League title with the depth of the squad. Do you look at this Chelsea squad? Do you see any weakness?
Yeah, rightly so. They come with huge expectation into the new season because they look very strong. I watched the first few games in this season, and they don't seem to have any weakness. You know, they look very strong and solid at the back. Have plenty of offensive potential up front, and then with the signing of Lukaku as well, there's another. Probably one of the world's best strikers currently in the squad as well, and a really strong bench as well. You know, watching the game last weekend against Liverpool, and probably the Liverpool is strong as well. But if you look then at the depth of the squad, as you just mentioned, you probably feel that Chelsea has a bit more firepower on there. You know, they probably have 18 or maybe even 19 top players. Well, Liverpool probably comes a little bit short. So Chelsea will be up there. They will be fighting for the title this year, I think. And probably everybody else will be looking at this team and thinking, well, it's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah. You mentioned the signing of Lukaku. He's arrived in for a huge transfer fee, and he is one of, unquestionably, the most destructive strikers in European football. He was at Chelsea when you were there as manager, Roberto, as a young kid. This potential, was it always there?
Yes. I mean, he had a lot of potential when he arrived. He was very young when he came to us, and he probably wasn't quite ready to be in the team then, but he had an immense motivation already. You know, he was so determined to become the world's best strikers. I remember because we worked. I mean, I worked a lot with him after the team training sessions with him, 1v1 and so on. And you know, I remember that he was very focused, and he had an objective in his head, what he wanted to do in his career and his life. And, you know, it took him to go on loan for a few years, but he always knew that he was gonna become a really good player, and it turned out to be so. And he fully deserves it. He's a great boy as well, you know, really nice guy. But he's improved so much over the years, and I think it's really tough to play against him as well as a defender.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to Thomas Tuchel talk when Lukaku signed about his immediate influence within the dressing room and how he has a real leadership quality now, that he recognises his own importance as the striker in that team, the weight of the transfer fee, and went into that dressing room and you could tell straight away, made it clear to the players what he expected and wanted to achieve. But it sounds what you're saying, even when you go back almost a decade at this stage, that drive and determination was always within him.
Absolutely, yes. He always had that, even as a young player, as a young boy, he had that. And it also, you know, for him, it's sort of going back somewhere where he knows the environment, he knows still a lot of people, and he's probably feeling very comfortable in that environment. He knows where he's going back, what he's gone back to, and he's probably sliding in very smoothly as well, because he knows everything about the club. He knows a lot of the people. He knows the training ground. He knows London. So it won't take him, or it didn't take him at all, any time to actually just be part of the group.
Karen, it was interesting to see that Jorginho was voted as UEFA's midfielder of the season last year, because he's a player who has somewhat split opinion since he arrived in England. I often think maybe because he sort of took N'Golo Kante's position on the pitch, and there's so much love for N'Golo Kante for everything that he has done. But what Jorginho did during the run to the Champions League and then helping Italy to Euro 2020, it does feel as though in what Thomas Tuchel's trying to do, Jorginho is a real key cog now.
It's massive, and the fact that they fought off Manchester City to sign him in the first place, Pep Guardiola thought the same things about him. So you reference N'Golo Kante, but they're very, very different deep line midfielders. N'Golo is one that wants to break up play, and he's just instrumental in that. And I think with Jorginho, he's probably more the in-possession type of player that wants to build up and create things and start things from the back. But Jorginho's not, he'd probably look at him and go, mobility-wise, can he get across the pitch? But he's so clever. He always gets himself in good positions. He's always offering, a teammate a passing lane or something like that. So, and like you said, he's won the Euros with his international side, and he's won the Champions League. So, I know Roberto is very happy about that. But he's a modern footballer and an intelligent footballer, and I think he has improved over the last couple of years as well. And I think that's as well because of the players around him that suit him for how he plays.
He did, Roberto, come in for an enormous fee at the time, so had already done it in Serie A. It did feel like it took him a couple of seasons to fully find his feet in English football. I'd imagine you're not surprised in any way with the way Jorginho's flourished over the last year or so.
No, because I remember when a lot of supporters, people were divided or had divided opinions about him. But he's a sort of player that is a delight for a manager because he makes the team tick. He plays one-touch football. He has a very good vision. He always knows where his next pass is before he receives the ball. So for a manager, it's the sort of players that you want to have in that role, that number 6 role. He's probably not the physically the strongest, but because he reads the game so well, he anticipates where the ball goes, and so he recovers a lot of ball. And probably him and Kante together. Oh wow, what a midfield, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad. Where did you watch the Euro 2020 final then?
I was actually in Italy for the final, so it was good fun. Very, very tight game. And Italy probably the second half they probably did enough to earn the victory. When it goes down to penalties, it's always a bit of a lottery at the end of the day. But I thought that Italy over the tournament as well, I think they were probably the best team, in terms of playing. They played the best football, were very convincing, didn't concede many goals, and were always good for a goal as well.
I can't believe as a manager who maybe his greatest day as a manager came as a result of penalties, you're saying they're a lottery. You need to say it takes a managerial genius to pick the right guys at the right time for the spot kicks.
Well, I think I'm humble and objective enough to say that it's a bit of a lottery when it comes down to penalties. Even back then, it's one of those things. You just you do your prayers and hope that you score one more than the opposition.
Yeah. We mentioned some of the options there, Karen, that Thomas Tuchel has this season, and has that depth of 17, 18 international class players, some world class talent in there as well. Do you expect a stage of this season where we'll see a first choice Chelsea 11 that will get a run of 3-4 games, or is it just a case actually that there'll be a constant rotation that players are well used to at this stage, and that actually freshness is the key as much as stability?
I think you'll have a 8 or 9 bunch of players that will consistently play, and then there'll be probably your attacking players might chop and change in and out, and maybe the full-back areas just to keep the freshness, just because of the games that they all play. There's so many, they're all internationals as well, they'll all go away. So you're right, it's about keeping freshness, hunger, competitiveness in the training ground, which Roberto will know more about as from a manager's perspective. But Romelu Lukaku's going to play, Mason Mount's going to play. The back line, you don't really want to chop and change too much, because I always say it, goals win your games, but clean sheets win your championships. So, Mendy's going to always be in goal. So the spine of the team will pretty much, Jorginho and Kovacic will be in there, but it might just be Havertz, Werner, horses for courses in terms of attacking nature. You don't want to mix it up too much.
God, Mason Mount has really developed into a proper world-class talent even over the past 6 months, the step up in his game, Karen. When you think back to Chelsea, was there a buzz around him at that stage when you were around Chelsea as to what he was going to go on and become?
Yeah, he was playing in the academy actually, and he was playing in Birmingham, and a couple of my mates went and watched him play for the academy, and he scored a hat-trick against Birmingham, and I was like, oh, great, we've lost again. And they said, oh, it's this kid, Mount, he's brilliant, played in the number 10 pocket, this kid's the future. And then, there was always a big kind of talk about him in the training ground, and the same for Billy Gilmore, actually. They were the two names that were always really, really mentioned highly at Cobham. So it's no surprise, and then watched him develop, and he's just gone from strength to strength, and physically as well. And what's I think really impressed me is his mental strength, because Roberto mentioned a lot there about Jorginho and how there were mixed feelings about him, but it's the same for Mason Mount. There was a lot of people that criticised him, said he was teacher's pet and he was a favourite, but time and time again he bounced back and showed why he's a outstanding player, and why Chelsea pick him every week, why England pick him all the time, and why he's a brilliant attacking minded midfielder, clever and creative, and he'll be one for many, many years at both club and country.
So make your prediction for the season then, Karen. Where are Chelsea going to finish?
Oh, it's tough. I actually think they'll come second behind City.
Right. Roberto?
Well, a question to Karen. Who do you think is going to win it?
City first, Chelsea second. I think it'll be very, very close. I just think City will just have that. I don't know. I can't even put my finger to it. I just think City will win it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea. I think Chelsea will win, but it's probably those two teams, isn't it? They're gonna fight it out, City and Chelsea. It will come down to probably form over the season, maybe injuries to important players, things like that. But Chelsea certainly has the hunger to get the title back. It's gonna be tough.
All right, a slight split in the jury there. Karen, Roberto, thanks a lot for joining us to look ahead to Chelsea's season. We've got full-length feature interviews with both Karen and Roberto elsewhere on our social channels, so make sure to check them out. It's all in association with Cadbury FC and their club partnerships. You can also check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. Cadbury, official snack partner of Chelsea Football Club.